My father left his $2.3 million estate to all 4 of his children equally. My 3 brothers sued to cut me out because women don't deserve inheritance. $2.3 million divided equally. They wanted it all for themselves because I'm their sister, not their brother. My name is Caroline Mitchell. I'm 38 years old. Last year my father died and left me and my 3 brothers a $2.3 million estate. Split equally, 25% each, clearly stated in his will. My brothers immediately contested it. Not because the will was unclear, not because Dad was incompetent when he wrote it, but because I'm a woman. Dad didn't mean for you to get an equal share, my oldest brother Michael said at the will reading. You're married. Your husband takes care of you. You don't need this money like we do. We're the sons, my brother James added. We built the business with Dad. We deserve more. You should get something small, my brother Thomas said, but not the same as us. That's not how inheritance works. When I refused to give up my share, they sued me. Hired expensive lawyers to prove I'd manipulated our elderly father, that I'd unduly influenced him to change his will in my favor. They offered me $50,000 to go away quietly. When I said no, they launched a campaign to destroy me. Told the family I was a gold digger who'd abandoned Dad until he got sick. Posted on social media about greedy daughters who don't deserve their father's legacy. Turned cousins, aunts, uncles against me. The legal battle lasted 18 months. Cost me over $100,000 in legal fees. But I won. Not just my 25%. I got everything Dad intended for me. And my brothers got nothing but destroyed reputations, massive legal bills, and a very public lesson about sexism and greed. This is the story of how my brothers tried to cut me out of my inheritance because I'm female, and how the truth came out in court. I'm the youngest of 4 children, the only daughter. My brothers Michael, James, and Thomas are all older than me, 5 years, 3 years, and 2 years respectively. Growing up, I was always the outsider, the girl in a family of boys. My father Robert was a successful real estate developer in Charleston, started with nothing, built a company worth millions by the time he retired. He was old school in some ways, traditional, but he never treated me like I was less capable because I was female. My brothers did, though. They were allowed to be messy, loud, adventurous. I was expected to be neat, quiet, ladylike. They played sports. I took piano and ballet. They went to Dad's construction sites. I stayed home with Mom. When I asked to go too, Michael would say, "Construction sites aren't for girls." Dad would sometimes override them. "Caroline can come if she wants." But my brothers made it clear I wasn't welcome. As we got older, the dynamic got worse. My brothers all went into business with Dad, started working for him right out of college. Michael became a property manager. James handled acquisitions. Thomas did finance. They were part of the family business, part of Dad's world. I went to college for architecture, loved design, loved creating spaces. When I graduated, I asked Dad if there was a place for me in the company. He seemed excited. "Of course. We could use an architect on staff. You'd be perfect." My brothers shot it down. "We don't need an architect. We hire contractors for that. Caroline doesn't know anything about our business. It would be weird having a girl in the office." Dad backed down, didn't fight for me, and I was hurt but not surprised. I got a job at an architecture firm in Charleston, built my own career, did well. Met my husband Andrew at 28, married at 29. Andrew's a high school teacher, makes a modest salary. We're comfortable but not wealthy. We have 2 kids. Lily is 7, Max is 5. I work part-time now, balance career and family. We're happy. My relationship with my brothers was always strained, polite but distant. We'd see each other at holidays, make small talk, nothing deep. They saw me as the little sister who got married and had kids, nothing more. They never asked about my work, my life, my interests. I was just Caroline the sister, not a full person to them. Dad and I stayed close though. He'd call me once a week. We'd talk about my projects, his grandkids' life. He was proud of me, told me so. "You did it on your own," he'd say. "Didn't need the family business. Built your own path. That takes guts." When Dad was 68, he was diagnosed with lung cancer. He'd smoked for 40 years. The cancer was aggressive. The doctors gave him 2 to 3 years. My brothers were devastated but didn't change their lives much. They visited Dad on weekends occasionally, called him every few weeks. But they were busy with work, with their own families, with the business. I rearranged my entire life. Started visiting Dad 3 times a week, brought the kids to see him, made sure he wasn't lonely. Took him to doctor appointments when I could, cooked meals for him, sat with him and just talked. Dad lived alone after Mom died 5 years earlier. He needed support. And I gave it. My brothers noticed but didn't say much. Seemed relieved someone was handling it. "Thanks for being there for Dad," Michael said once. "We're swamped with work." As if I didn't also have a job and a family. But I didn't do it for recognition. I did it because I loved my dad. In his final year, Dad's health declined rapidly. He moved into hospice care. I was there almost every day. My brothers visited maybe once a month, always too busy with the business. Dad noticed. "Your brothers don't come around much," he said one day. "They're busy, Dad. They're running the company. The company I built. That I handed to them. But they can't make time for me. They care about you. They're just not good at showing it." Dad shook his head. "You've been here through everything. You're the one who cares." A few months before he died, Dad asked me to bring him his lawyer. "I want to update my will." "Okay, Dad. Whatever you want." The lawyer came to hospice. They talked privately. When the lawyer left, Dad seemed relieved. "I made sure things are fair," he told me. "You kids will all be taken care of." "I'm sure we will be." "No, I mean really fair. Equal. The way it should be." I didn't think much of it at the time. Dad died 3 months later. I was holding his hand. My brothers made it to the hospice an hour after he passed. Traffic was terrible. The funeral was large. Dad was well known in Charleston. Hundreds of people came. My brothers gave eulogies about what a great businessman he was, how he taught them everything they knew. I talked about him as a father, as a grandfather, as a person. After the funeral, there was the reading of the will. Dad's lawyer, Mr. Peterson, gathered the 4 of us in his office. My brothers brought their wives. I brought Andrew. Mr. Peterson opened the will. Robert Mitchell's last will and testament, updated 6 months before his death. He read through the standard legal language, then got to the important part. "I leave my entire estate valued at approximately $2.3 million to be divided equally among my 4 children. Michael Mitchell, James Mitchell, Thomas Mitchell, and Caroline Mitchell. Each child shall receive 25% of the total estate value." There was silence. Then Michael stood up. "There must be a mistake." Mr. Peterson looked at him calmly. "There's no mistake. This is your father's will. Witnessed, notarized, legally binding. Dad wouldn't have left Caroline the same amount as us. That doesn't make sense." "Why doesn't it make sense?" I asked. Michael turned to me. "Because you're not part of the business, Caroline. You didn't build this with him. We did." "The estate isn't just the business," Mr. Peterson said. "It includes real estate holdings, investments, cash assets." And Mr. Mitchell was very clear that he wanted an equal 4-way split. "Dad was sick when he changed this will," James said. "He wasn't thinking clearly. Actually, we had him evaluated by 2 independent doctors before he made these changes," Mr. Peterson said. "Both confirmed he was of sound mind and fully capable of making this decision." "This isn't right," Thomas said, looking at me. "Caroline, you're married. Andrew has a job. You don't need this money like we do." "How do you know what I need?" I asked. "You should take a smaller share," Michael's wife Jennifer interjected. "It's not appropriate for a daughter to inherit the same as sons." I stared at her. "What did you just say?" "In most families, the estate goes to the sons, the men, the ones who carry on the family name and business." "This isn't the 1800s, I said. "Maybe not, but there are traditions for a reason. Your brothers built something with your father. You didn't. It's only fair they get more." Andrew squeezed my hand, supportive but silent. "Dad's will is clear," I said. "He wanted us to split it equally. That's his decision." "We're going to contest this," Michael said. "On what grounds?" Mr. Peterson asked. Undue influence. Dad was vulnerable in his last months. Caroline was there constantly. She obviously manipulated him into changing the will in her favor. I felt like I'd been slapped. I was there because I loved him, because you three were too busy to visit. You were there to secure your inheritance, James said coldly. That's not true. We're not letting this stand, Michael said. We'll see you in court, Caroline. They walked out. Their wives followed, giving me disgusted looks. I sat there shaking. Andrew put his arm around me. They can't be serious. I think they are. Mr. Peterson looked grim. They have the right to contest. But your father anticipated this might happen. He left very detailed documentation about his mental state and his reasoning. We have a strong case. I don't want to fight my brothers in court. You may not have a choice. 2 weeks later, I was served with legal papers. Michael, James, and Thomas Mitchell versus Caroline Mitchell, and the estate of Robert Mitchell. They were suing to have the will overturned. Their claim: Dad had been unduly influenced by me during his final months, that I'd manipulated a sick, vulnerable man into giving me a larger share than I deserved. They wanted the will changed to give them each 33% and give me nothing. Actually nothing. Zero. I hired a lawyer, a tough woman named Patricia Greenwood who specialized in estate litigation. This is outrageous, she said after reading their filing. They're not even trying to hide the sexism. What do you mean? She read from their legal brief. The deceased daughter did not contribute to the family business and therefore should not inherit equally with the deceased sons, who were integral to building the estate they now seek to claim. They actually wrote that? They did. And it's going to bury them. This is gender discrimination. Pure and simple. Can they really do this? Can they just erase me from the will? They can try, but they won't succeed. Your father's will is airtight. He was evaluated by doctors. The will was witnessed properly. His intent is crystal clear. They have no case. Then why are they doing this? Patricia looked at me seriously. Because they think you'll fold. They think you'll settle for a smaller amount rather than go through a long, ugly court battle. What would you advise? Fight. Every step of the way. Make them prove their case. Which they can't. I took a deep breath. Okay, let's fight. The legal battle began. My brother's lawyers filed motion after motion, requested document after document. They demanded medical records showing Dad's mental state, financial records showing who benefited from his estate, communication records between me and Dad. Patricia fought back, demanded the same from my brothers. Discovery revealed some interesting things. My brothers had each borrowed significant amounts of money from Dad over the years, loans that were never repaid. Michael, $180,000 for a house down payment. James, $120,000 for his kids' private school tuition. Thomas, $95,000 to cover business losses. Total, $395,000 that Dad had given them and never asked to be repaid. I had borrowed $15,000 from Dad once for my wedding. I'd paid back every cent with interest. Patricia was thrilled. This establishes a pattern. Your father was more generous with your brothers, not less, which undermines their whole argument. Meanwhile, my brothers were spreading rumors. I heard through cousins that they were telling everyone I'd isolated Dad in his final months, kept him away from family, manipulated him when he was weak. Complete lies. I had text messages showing I'd invited my brothers to visit constantly, sent them Dad's doctor appointment schedules, asked them to come more often. They'd always been too busy. My brother Thomas's wife posted on Facebook. So sad when family members take advantage of elderly parents for money. Some people have no shame. She didn't name me, but everyone knew who she meant. I wanted to respond, defend myself. Patricia advised against it. Don't engage. Don't give them ammunition. Stay silent and let the evidence speak. It was hard, watching my reputation get destroyed, having relatives whisper about me at family gatherings. But I stayed quiet. The case moved toward mediation. The court required it before going to trial. We met in a conference room. Me, Andrew, and Patricia on one side. My three brothers, their wives, and their legal team on the other. The mediator tried to find common ground. Is there a settlement amount that would satisfy both parties? Michael leaned forward. We'll give Caroline $50,000. She signs away all claim to the estate. We split the rest 3 ways. I almost laughed. 50,000? Out of a $2.3 million estate. It's more than fair, Jennifer said. Women don't need large inheritances. Your husband should provide for you. My husband does provide for me. This isn't about need. It's about what my father wanted. Your father was confused at the end, James said. He didn't know what he was doing. Patricia slid a document across the table. This is a letter from your father's oncologist. Written 2 weeks before the will was updated. It states clearly that Robert Mitchell was lucid, cogent, and fully capable of making legal decisions. Doctors can be fooled, Thomas muttered. We also have your father's handwritten notes, Patricia continued. She produced a notebook. These are from his personal journal, written over the course of his final year. I'll read some excerpts. She opened to a marked page. March 15th. Michael called today. Asked for another loan. Always asking for money but never visiting. Makes me wonder if that's all I am to him. Michael's face reddened. Patricia turned a page. April 3rd. Caroline brought the grandkids today. She comes 3 times a week. Never asks for anything. Just wants to spend time with me. She's the only one who seems to actually care. She turned again. May 20th. Meeting with Peterson tomorrow to update my will. The boys think they deserve more because they're sons. But Caroline deserves just as much. She's been here for me. They haven't. I'm making sure it's equal. That's fair. The room was silent. Your father knew exactly what he was doing, Patricia said. He chose to leave Caroline an equal share because she earned it. By being present. By caring. By being his daughter. That doesn't prove anything, Michael's lawyer said weakly. Actually, it proves everything. It shows clear intent. Sound mind. And frankly, it exposes your client's real motivation here. Which isn't concern about their father's wishes. It's greed. The mediation broke down after that. My brothers refused to budge. Refused to accept the will as written. We were going to trial. The months leading up to trial were hell. My brothers stopped speaking to me entirely. Blocked me on social media. Told their kids I was a bad person. My nieces and nephews who I'd been close to weren't allowed to see me. Extended family took sides. Most sided with my brothers. They're the boys. They should get more. Caroline's being greedy. She should respect her brother's wishes. I lost friendships. Lost family relationships. Lost my sense of belonging. But Andrew was solid. My kids were too young to understand the details but knew mommy was fighting for something important. And I had Patricia, who believed in me and the case. We're going to win, she kept saying. The evidence is overwhelming. The trial began on a cold Monday in November. The courtroom was packed. Family members, business associates, people who'd known my father. My brothers sat on one side with their lawyers. I sat on the other with Patricia. The judge was a woman in her 60s, Judge Martha Harrison, known for being no-nonsense and fair. My brother's lawyer made his opening statement. Painted a picture of a dying man, vulnerable and confused, manipulated by his daughter who swooped in during his weakest moments. Caroline Mitchell isolated her father, cut him off from his sons, convinced him that she deserved an equal share when the reality is she contributed nothing to the empire he built. This will is the result of undue influence. And we asked the court to set it aside. Patricia's opening was devastating. This case is about 3 things: greed, sexism, and a father's love for his daughter. Robert Mitchell was a successful businessman who knew exactly what he was doing when he updated his will. He was evaluated by medical professionals. He left detailed notes explaining his reasoning. He wanted his estate split equally among all 4 of his children. The plaintiffs don't like that decision. Not because it was invalid, but because they believe their sister doesn't deserve the same inheritance as them. Because she's a woman. We will prove that their case is without merit. And we will uphold Robert Mitchell's final wishes. The trial lasted 2 weeks. My brother's lawyers called witnesses who claimed Dad was confused in his final months. That he forgot names. Mixed up dates. Patricia cross-examined them all. Showed that Dad's supposed confusion was normal aging. Nothing that impacted his legal capacity. They called a psychiatrist who claimed Dad might have been depressed, and therefore vulnerable to manipulation. Patricia brought in Dad's actual treating doctors who testified he was mentally sound. They tried to paint me as someone who'd abandoned the family for years and only returned when Dad got sick. Patricia showed phone records. I called Dad weekly for a decade, visited regularly, maintained a relationship while my brothers drifted. Then Patricia put me on the stand. She walked me through my relationship with Dad, how we stayed close, how I cared for him in his final year. Did you ever ask your father to give you a larger share of his estate? No, never. Did you even know what was in his will before he died? No. I assumed it would be split somehow among us kids, but I didn't know the details. When he updated his will 6 months before his death, did you encourage that? I didn't know he was updating it until after it was done. So you had no input on the contents of his final will? None. My brother's lawyer cross-examined me, tried to make me look calculating. You visited your father 3 times a week in his final year. That's quite a lot. I loved him. He was dying. I wanted to spend time with him. Or you wanted to secure your inheritance? I wanted to be with my father. The inheritance never crossed my mind. You expect the court to believe you never thought about inheriting money from your wealthy father? I didn't think about it because I was focused on him, on making his last months comfortable, on being his daughter. How convenient. Patricia objected. The judge sustained it. The most powerful moment came when Patricia played a video. Dad had made it 3 months before he died, on his phone, sitting in his hospice bed. No one knew it existed until Patricia found it in his personal effects. In the video, Dad spoke directly to the camera. My name is Robert Mitchell. I'm making this video to explain my will, in case there are questions after I'm gone. I've split my estate equally among my 4 children, 25% each, to Michael, James, Thomas, and Caroline. I've done this because it's fair, because they're all my children, all equally deserving of what I've built. Some people might think my sons deserve more because they worked in the business, but the business was my dream, not theirs. They got jobs from me, good jobs. They've been well compensated for years. Caroline built her own career, didn't ask me for anything, except my time, and she gave me hers, especially at the end. She's been here, more than anyone else. I love all my children, but I want to be clear. This will reflect what I want, what I've decided. No one influenced me. No one pressured me. This is my choice, and I expect it to be honored. The video was damning. My brothers' faces went white. Their lawyers looked defeated. When the video ended, the courtroom was silent. Judge Harrison looked at my brothers. Counselors, do you wish to continue with this case? My brother's lawyer stood. Your Honor, in light of this new evidence, we'd like to request a recess to consult with our clients. Request denied. The evidence has been presented. Do you have any rebuttal? We need time to. I'll take that as a no. We'll break for closing arguments after lunch. During the break, my brother's lawyer approached Patricia. Is there still room to settle? You had your chance in mediation. You offered my client $50,000. Now we're taking this to judgment. Come on, be reasonable. We are being reasonable. We're asking for what the will specifies, 25%. What your clients should have accepted from the beginning. After lunch, closing arguments were brief. My brother's lawyer tried to salvage the case, but the video had destroyed their argument. Patricia was concise. Robert Mitchell made his wishes clear. In writing, in video, in his personal journals. He wanted his estate split equally. The plaintiffs want to overturn that decision not because it's invalid, but because they don't like it. Because they believe their sister doesn't deserve the same as them. That's not a legal argument. That's discrimination. This court should uphold Robert Mitchell's will as written. Judge Harrison took 1 day to deliberate. The next afternoon we reconvened. The judge read her decision. I've reviewed all the evidence in this case, the medical evaluations, the testimony, the documentation, and the video statement from the deceased. It is abundantly clear that Robert Mitchell was of sound mind when he updated his will, that he made this decision freely and without undue influence, that he intended for his estate to be split equally among his 4 children. The plaintiffs have failed to provide any credible evidence to the contrary. Their case appears to be motivated not by legitimate concerns about their father's capacity, but by a belief that their sister should not inherit equally with them. This court will not overturn a valid will based on gender discrimination. The will of Robert Mitchell shall stand as written. Caroline Mitchell is entitled to 25% of the estate, as are each of her brothers. Furthermore, as the prevailing party, Ms. Mitchell's legal fees shall be paid from the estate before distribution. This case is dismissed. I couldn't breathe. We won. The judge had not only upheld the will but ordered my legal fees paid from the estate, which meant my brothers' quarter shares would be reduced to cover their own legal fees while mine stayed intact. Patricia hugged me. I told you we'd win. My brothers stormed out of the courtroom, didn't look at me. Their lawyer approached Patricia one more time. My clients would like to appeal. Go ahead. You'll lose and accumulate more legal fees. But be my guest. They didn't appeal. The estate was settled 4 months later. The final distribution. The estate was valued at $2.3 million. Legal fees totaling $215,000 were paid from the estate first. What remained? $2,085,000. My 25%. $521,250. Each of my brothers' 25%. $521,250 minus their individual legal fees. Michael's legal fees, $78,000. His take, $443,250. James's legal fees, $78,000. His take, $443,250. Thomas's legal fees, $78,000. His take, $443,250. So I got my full share. They each lost about $78,000 challenging a will they were never going to overturn. Plus the humiliation of having their sexism exposed in open court. Plus the family knowing they tried to cheat their sister out of her inheritance. Worth it? I think not. I haven't spoken to my brothers since the trial. They tried to reach out once. Michael sent an email. Caroline, this got out of hand. We were grieving. We made mistakes. Can we move past this? I didn't respond. You don't try to erase your sister from your father's will, and then ask to move past it. Some things you don't come back from. My aunts and uncles who sided with my brothers have tried to play peacemaker. You should forgive them. They're your brothers. Family is important. But they weren't thinking about family when they sued me. They were thinking about money, and sexism, and their belief that I didn't deserve what Dad wanted me to have. That's not family. That's greed. I used my inheritance wisely. Paid off our mortgage. Set up college funds for Lily and Max, invested the rest. Andrew and I are secure now. The kids will have opportunities we couldn't have given them otherwise. That's what Dad wanted. For me to be taken care of. For his grandchildren to benefit. Not for his sons to get richer while his daughter got nothing. I think about Dad a lot. About how he saw this coming. How he protected me even after his death. The video, the journal entries, the medical evaluations. He knew my brothers would try this, and he made sure I'd be protected. That's love. That's a father looking out for his daughter. I wish he was here to see how it turned out. To know that his wishes were honored, that I fought for what he wanted. To know that his son's greed didn't win. I visit his grave sometimes, bring flowers, talk to him. I got my 25%, Dad. Just like you wanted. The boys tried to take it, but you made sure they couldn't. Thank you. For seeing me. For valuing me. For making sure I got what I deserved. I like to think he knows, wherever he is, that his daughter stood up for herself. Didn't back down. 1. The money is nice. The security is wonderful. But the real victory was proving that I mattered. That I wasn't less deserving because I'm female. That my father's love for me was just as valuable as his love for my brothers. That I was worth fighting for. My brothers learned an expensive lesson. You can't use the courts to enforce sexism. You can't overturn a valid will because you think women shouldn't inherit. You can't bully your sister into giving up what's rightfully hers. They lost money, lost respect, lost their sister. All because they couldn't accept that Dad loved us all equally. That being male doesn't make you more deserving. I'm proud of how I handled this. I could have taken their $50,000 offer, avoided the fight, kept the peace. But that would have been accepting their premise, that I'm worth less. I refused to do that. I fought. I won. I got exactly what Dad intended. And I sleep well at night knowing I honored his wishes. Even when his sons wouldn't. The hardest part wasn't the legal battle. It was losing my brothers. Despite everything, despite how they treated me growing up, they were still my brothers. We shared a childhood, a father, a history. And they threw it all away over money. Over their belief that I didn't deserve the same as them because I'm female. That hurts more than any lawsuit ever could. I think about the family we could have been. If they just accepted Dad's will, split the money, moved on. We could have stayed in each other's lives. Our kids could have grown up together. We could have supported each other through our grief. Instead, they chose greed, and sexism, and pride. And I lost 3 brothers in the process. My kids ask about their uncles sometimes. Why don't we see Uncle Michael anymore? Or Uncle James and Uncle Thomas? How do you explain to a 7-year-old that her uncles tried to steal from her mother? That they think women shouldn't inherit money? That they value dollars more than family? I tell them simplified versions. Uncle Michael and I had a disagreement. Sometimes grown-ups can't work things out. Will you ever be friends again? I don't know, sweetie. Maybe someday. But not right now. Lily's too young to understand. But she's sad she doesn't see her cousins. That breaks my heart too. My nieces and nephews did nothing wrong. But they're caught in the middle. Probably being told that Aunt Caroline is a bad person. Greedy. Mean. They'll grow up with a distorted view of me. Unless someday they learn the truth. Andrew has been incredible through all of this. He never once suggested I should just take the settlement. Never implied the fight wasn't worth it. He stood beside me in court, held my hand through depositions, listened to me cry after particularly brutal days. You're doing the right thing, he'd tell me. Your dad wanted you to have this. Don't let them take it. What if we lose? What if the judge sides with them? Then we lose. But at least you fought. At least you stood up for yourself. That support meant everything. Because there were moments I wanted to quit. When the legal bills piled up. When the family turned against me. When I felt completely alone. Andrew reminded me why I was fighting. Not for the money. For the principle. For my father's wishes. For my own dignity. For my daughter's future understanding that women are worth just as much as men. The trial changed me in ways I didn't expect. I'm less trusting now. More guarded. I learned that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes the people who should love you unconditionally are the ones who hurt you most. I learned that standing up for yourself means accepting that some people will hate you for it. I learned that being right doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it just feels lonely. But I also learned I'm stronger than I thought. That I can survive betrayal, loss, public humiliation. That I can walk into a courtroom and face down 3 brothers who want to erase me. That I can win. The inheritance gave me financial security, but the fight gave me something more valuable. Self-respect. The knowledge that when it mattered most, I didn't back down. I think Dad would be proud of that. He raised me to be strong, independent, capable. Even when my brothers tried to diminish me, Dad always saw my worth. And in the end, he made sure everyone else saw it too. The journal entries Patricia read in court haunt me sometimes. Dad knew. He knew my brothers didn't visit enough, didn't care enough. He knew I was the one who showed up, who cared, who loved him unconditionally. And it hurt him. I wish I could tell him it's okay, that I didn't show up for the inheritance. I showed up because he was my dad. But he's gone, and all I have are those journal entries. Proof that he saw everything, understood everything, appreciated everything. That's a gift in a way. Knowing my father knew how much I loved him. Some people never get that confirmation. The video he made was the same. He knew his sons would challenge the will. He knew they'd claim he was incompetent or manipulated. So he left proof, undeniable proof of his intentions. That's love. That's a father protecting his daughter even after death. I play that video sometimes when I'm feeling sad. Hear his voice, see his face, remember why I fought. I expect it to be honored, he says at the end. I honored it, Dad. I made sure your wishes came true. The extended family situation has been complicated. Some relatives apologized after the trial. We didn't know the full story. We're sorry we doubted you. Others doubled down. You still shouldn't have taken your brothers to court. Family should work things out privately. As if I took them to court. As if I started this. I've had to accept that some people will never see it fairly. They're too invested in traditional gender roles. Too committed to the idea that sons inherit and daughters get scraps. Or they just don't want to admit they were wrong. Either way, I've learned to let it go. I can't control what people think of me. I can only control my own actions. And my actions were honorable. Just right. That has to be enough. My relationship with my father's memory has deepened since his death. I understand him better now. See the choices he made more clearly. He gave my brothers jobs, money, opportunities. But he gave me something different: respect, trust, equality. He saw me as just as capable as them, just as deserving. In a world that often tells women they're worth less, Dad told me I was worth the same. That gift is more valuable than any inheritance. Though I'm glad I got both. I've started telling Lily and Max stories about their grandfather. How he built his business from nothing. How he worked hard. How he loved his family. How he believed in fairness, in equality, in doing the right thing even when it's hard. Grandpa left you college money, I tell them, because he wanted you to have opportunities, to chase your dreams. Did he love us? Max asks. So much. He loved you so much. Even though we were little when he died? Especially because of that. He wanted to make sure you'd be taken care of. That's what the money is for. They're too young to understand the full story, the lawsuit, the betrayal. But someday I'll tell them. And they'll understand why I fought, why it mattered, why I couldn't just let it go. The money sits in investments now, growing, waiting. Some of it went to immediate needs: the mortgage, home repairs, a more reliable car. But most of it is saved, for the kids' futures, for emergencies, for security. That's what Dad wanted, for me to be stable, safe, provided for. Not because I couldn't provide for myself, but because life is uncertain and he wanted to help. The same way he helped my brothers over the years. With their down payments, their tuition, their business losses. Except he helped them while he was alive, and me after he was gone. Both are valid. Both are love. My brothers never understood that. They saw the inheritance as a reward for being sons, for working in the business. But it wasn't a reward. It was a gift, from a father to his children. All of his children. And gifts aren't based on merit or gender or job titles. They're based on love. Dad loved us all, even when we didn't deserve it. Even when my brothers abandoned him in his final months. He still left them equal shares. That's grace. That's forgiveness. That's unconditional love. I try to remember that when I'm angry at them. They're flawed, selfish, sexist. But they were Dad's sons, and he loved them. Even if they didn't love him enough to honor his wishes without a court order. I thought about reaching out to them. Trying to reconcile, bridge the gap, find a way forward. But every time I consider it, I remember the trial. Michael's face when he said I didn't deserve an equal share. James claiming I manipulated Dad. Thomas offering me $50,000 like I was a problem to be solved. Jennifer saying women don't deserve large inheritances. Those aren't words you take back. Those aren't wounds that heal easily. Maybe someday, when enough time has passed, when they've genuinely apologized. But not now. Not yet. Maybe not ever. And I'm okay with that. I've built a life without them. A good life. A happy life. Andrew and I are stronger than ever. The kids are thriving. We have friends, community, support. We don't need my brothers. We're complete without them. That's the real victory. Not the money, not even the court win. But the realization that I don't need their approval or acceptance to be whole. I am enough, just as I am. A daughter, a woman, an equal heir. And no amount of sexism or legal challenges can take that away from me. Dad saw it. The judge saw it. Andrew sees it. My kids see it. That's all that matters. The rest is just noise. Looking back, I'm grateful for the fight. Not because I enjoyed it, not because it was easy, but because it forced me to stand up for myself in a way I never had before. To look my brothers in the eye and say, "No, you're wrong. I deserve this." To sit in a courtroom and defend my worth. To refuse to be diminished or erased or paid off. That changed me, made me braver, stronger, more sure of myself. I don't let people push me around anymore. Don't accept less than I deserve. Don't apologize for taking up space or asking for what's mine. Those are valuable lessons, worth more than money. Though again, I'm glad I got both. Dad would laugh at that. He had a good sense of humor. I can almost hear him. "Caroline, you're practical. I always liked that about you." "Yeah, Dad. I am practical, and fair, and persistent. Just like you taught me to be." And when 3 men tried to take what was mine, I fought back. Just like you would have wanted. The estate is settled. The money is distributed. The legal battle is over. But the story isn't finished. Because every time a woman has to fight for equal treatment, the story continues. Every time a daughter has to prove she's as deserving as her brothers, the fight goes on. Every time someone assumes men should get more just because they're men, the battle begins again. This was my fight, my story, my victory. But it's bigger than me. It's about every daughter who's been told she's worth less. Every sister who's been excluded or diminished or erased. Every woman who's had to fight for what should have been freely given. We're still fighting, still proving ourselves, still demanding equality. But we're winning. Slowly, one court case at a time. One daughter standing up for herself at a time. One father leaving an equal inheritance at a time. Progress is possible. Change is real. And I'm proof of that. My father saw me as equal to my brothers. The law agreed. That's how it should be. That's how it will be. For my daughter. For her daughters. For all the women who come after. We are equal. We are deserving. We are worth fighting for. And no one, not our brothers, not our families, not society, gets to tell us otherwise. I keep Dad's will framed in my office. Not the whole thing, just the section that matters. I leave my entire estate, valued at approximately $2.3 million, to be divided equally among my 4 children. Michael Mitchell, James Mitchell, Thomas Mitchell, and Caroline Mitchell. Each child shall receive 25% of the total estate value. Simple, clear, equal. That document represents more than money. It represents a father who saw his daughter as equal to his sons. A man who lived in a traditional world but chose to be fair. A parent who loved all his children the same. That's his legacy, not the real estate empire, not the wealth, but the equality, the fairness, the love. And I'll carry that with me for the rest of my life. When people ask about the lawsuit now, I tell them the truth. My brothers tried to cut me out of my inheritance because I'm a woman. I fought back. I won. Some people are shocked. Your own brothers? Yes, my own brothers. That's terrible. It is, but it's also common. Women are often excluded from family wealth, expected to accept less, told they don't deserve equal shares. What did you do? I hired a good lawyer, presented the evidence, let my father's wishes speak for themselves. And you won. I won, got exactly what my father intended, 25%, same as each of them. Good for you. Thank you. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Those conversations remind me why sharing this story matters. Because other women are going through this right now. Being told they're not entitled to equal inheritance. Being pressured to accept less than their brothers. Being made to feel greedy for wanting what's legally and morally theirs. If my story helps even one woman stand up for herself, it's worth sharing. If it makes one family think twice about gender discrimination, it matters. If it honors my father's belief in equality, it's meaningful. The money will run out eventually. We'll spend it on the kids' education, on life, on needs and wants. But the lesson won't fade. That I fought for myself. That I won. That I refused to be diminished. That's eternal. Lily asks me sometimes about why she doesn't see her uncles. Did they do something bad? They did something unfair. And when I asked them to make it right, they wouldn't. What did they do? They tried to take something that Grandpa wanted me to have, because they thought girls shouldn't get the same as boys. Her eyes go wide. That's mean. It is mean. And it's wrong. Did you get it back? I did. A judge said they were wrong and I was right. Good. Girls and boys should be equal. They should. And mostly they are. But sometimes you have to fight for it. Like you did. Like I did. She hugs me. You're brave, Mommy. That's worth more than any inheritance. Teaching my daughter that she's equal, that she deserves fairness, that she should fight when she's treated unfairly. That's Dad's real legacy. Passed down through me to her. The money will help her go to college, but the lesson will help her change the world. And that's what really matters. My father left me 25% of his estate. My brothers tried to take it. I fought back and won. That's the simple version. The complicated version includes grief and betrayal and 18 months of legal hell. Includes losing brothers I'll probably never speak to again. Includes learning that family doesn't always mean loyalty. Includes discovering strength I didn't know I had. Both versions are true. Both versions shaped who I am today. A woman who knows her worth. A daughter who honored her father. A mother who's teaching her children to demand equality. And someone who will never, ever accept less than she deserves. My brothers thought they could intimidate me into giving up. Thought a small settlement would make me go away. Thought I'd choose peace over principle. They were wrong. And that's the last laugh. Not the money, not the court victory, but the knowledge that I stood up to them, faced them down, won. That they learned they can't push me around. That their sexism has consequences. That their sister is stronger than they ever imagined. That's the victory. And it's mine forever. Have you ever been discriminated against in inheritance because of your gender? Have you ever had to fight family members in court over what you rightfully deserved? Have you ever been told you weren't entitled to the same as your siblings because you're a woman? Share your experience in the comments. Sometimes the people who should support you are the ones who try to take everything from you. And sometimes fighting back is the only option. If you believe that children should inherit equally regardless of gender, hit that like button and subscribe. Because being a daughter doesn't make you less deserving than a son. And fathers who recognize that deserve to have their wishes honored, even when their sons disagree. #MyBrothers tried to cut me out.